Welcome back to the camp before Shiloh. This one's going to be a little bit of a longer one, as we have a lot to do. So first things first, we're going to buy up all the weapons we need, saving these for the next battles. We're going to end up using all the 6-pounders. This is version specific. The 6-pounder is way too good. It'd probably be replaced with something else at a later point, but for now, it's absolutely worth it. Probably going to buy some more of those, but I don't remember the exact amount. Got everything we need here. We might buy some stuff in here, but the thing we're going to do is start buying officers. We're going to fill out to a full 8 or 9 divisions. I'm going to hold up on more of these because we might be able to generate some more lieutenant colonels. Going to put the Major General in. That's going to give us a really big advantage for this battle. In terms of perks, we've got a couple different options. In the past, I've gone with double accuracy, which can work. Charge damage can be useful if you want to try and convince the AI to charge you a little bit less, but in this case I'm actually going to go with the versatility that speed gives me. Since this perk is global, it'll mean that even my unperked units effectively have half of a perk to start out with. And while the accuracy would help, I think having the combination of this and this perk will mean that I basically have half the movement speed and half of a perk in terms of movement speed, and also get some decent reload out of it. If you're going a melee focused army, the extra charge damage can be very good. And Maneuver Specialist is actually potentially very good, though I think you need a later game army to really use it, because basically this is really useful for the artillery in terms of the rotation speed. It's not, if you take this, then you're kind of making up for never having to take horse artillery or tactical training, and you still get a good chunk of the benefits out of it, even though you won't be quite as fast. So I will probably set up an army with this later on, even though this is pretty good for an artillery army like that. This is going to add a lot of utility for certain battles where you actually do need to rotate quite a bit. But for now, take speed, and then we're going to take the accuracy. I think this is going to be enough in terms of maneuverability. Potentially you could take this accuracy and get the rotation bonus, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. I guess if you're really worried about retreating, doubling up on these perks would work. But again, I don't think that's really necessary. If you plan your retreating properly with this perk, you'll be just the one. You'll be fine. Okay, you can stay in command here. And then we're going to go through and pull out all of the officers that are going to be able to give us a star. So what we're looking for is a cutoff of 74, 75. Oops, helps if I'm looking at the right XP. So I'll just put these guys in control for now. I think Scales actually doesn't quite pull it off. We'll test real quick. If we use Scales, who has 74, it doesn't work. And if we use Wagner, who also lists at 74, but you can see the bar move just a little bit when you switch them out. I think. I don't think it's an optical illusion with the text, but for whatever reason, 74 minus doesn't quite work, but 74 plus does. So we'll just put Scales here for now. We'll probably go somewhere else, but all the rest of these we're going to pull out.
Yes, sir.
Form line!
we actually... Oh. It's this one. I think that's the one we can do. So if we put this in here, bring this officer over here, then we get the second star.
Sir, yes, sir!
Okay, and let's bring these two back over. I'm just gonna put all our 2-star units up here. Gonna have to do some organizing at the end of this. I'll probably not show most of that. It's just gonna be swapping units around. And scales, if we put someone good in charge. Okay, not quite good enough. Okay, so we're going to be able to go in with 3 2-star units. And actually, these guys can get swapped out as well. Okay, someone slightly better. Okay, so that's basically set there. Let's see, we didn't lose any perks there, and we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 new units that we can set up. Maybe 6. So, Enfield's there. We're going to create one more skirmisher unit.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to have 3 effectively sniper units going into the battle, which should make certain phases, certainly the second day, much easier, because you're going to be able to get them on the flanks and just sit there forever. So that's 3 of those. Cavalry's going to go over there, and then I think we're mostly going to set up new artillery units with the rest of our... Okay, so we have 1 here. I think the rest is probably going to be artillery. Let's see, what do we have? I'm going to put these on 0-star units. So we have a 14-pounder, the 6-pounder, 24-pounder. So I think we're going to go with another unit of 12. This is a little big, but again, I'm very focused on being able to break this one battle, and then after that, if the scaling goes up, it doesn't really bother me. So we're going to go with him. And then we have 22 left. I could go with 2 more units of 11. Or I could split them up more. I think I want to split them up more because if I went with the 2 more units of 11, I could absolutely crush one flank, but then I'd be kind of weak on the other flank. So I think, oops. Wait a minute. Oh, right, that's why I haven't gone and put my... So I'm going to put the next 2 points into AO, which gets me up to 25 brigades. Part of the reason I'm doing this, you could very easily go with 20, but if you go with 25, the way the percentage deployments work, you get an extra unit on the right flank, and I think on the left as well. So you start with, I think, 9. If you only have 20, then you'd start with 8. And that lets me sneak in an extra artillery unit, which lets me basically win the right flank in place. If you're a little short on units, or you're having more trouble, maybe only plan to go up to 5 and have put the extra point into probably training or maybe econ, or if you wanted more recon or something like that, you could have pulled it off. But for me, we're going to go up to 6. Okay, we can't buy an office. We can't generate a new one. There's no way we're going to... Yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to occupy all the colonels without buying someone. So we're just going to do that. And put the lieutenant colonel in here. Yeah, so they were going to go with unit 8 and then 2 units of 7. That gives us a pretty good spread. And let's see, do we still have... I think we have one more. Let's create a 1-star. It does. Is it worth creating the 1-star infantry, or is it better to do something else? Don't have anything left for skirmishers. I could make a 1-star cavalry unit, but I don't think that's really necessary. I could do another 1-star artillery, but we're going to be really heavy on artillery anyway, so I think I'm going to go with an infantry unit. Just going to put muskets in them for now. I'll switch that out when I figure out how I'm going to do that. So I'm also going to buy up the Lorenzes. Okay, how many? So we would need... Okay, so that's about 4,000 in just rifles. This is a little expensive, but I think I'm just going to do it. You could send these higher, but I think it's a little better to spread out the money elsewhere. 1,000 man is enough to survive the first phase of the battle and still be useful in the later phases. Actually, the Lorenz is probably the best weapon, I think. 3.38 to 4.5. Yeah, 3.6. Okay, so you get the Lorenzes. And you get the Lorenzes. Keeping them 1,000 also lets you use the rifles in that way. We're going to go with the mixed unit again. And we'll give you the 61s. Yeah, we're going to go with rookies here just to get a little bit of the XP gain out of this. Going to go with double range here again. I'll worry about army command later. These can all get veterans, it isn't too expensive, and we want to get moving towards the next star. Oops.
Yes, sir.
Anything there. And a few of those. Get these guys a little bigger. See how much it costs. Yeah, that's cheap enough. We'll just do it. And in terms of next best set of rifles, we're down to the 55s, which really aren't a whole lot better than anything else, but they're the best we got. Could spend money on more rifles. I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, you'd have to jump up to these, and at 36 a pop, you know, you're spending a third of your money just to equip a single unit, so I don't think that's worthwhile. Going with, again, range and accuracy on all of these. Accuracy on these. just going for the absolute maximum amount of fire damage, and I'm relying on my Major General perks to give myself a little more utility in terms of the speed.
Sir, yes, sir!
Okay, now we are basically done for what we can do with 1-star units. That leaves us with 5. So 5 2-stars, 10 with those, and then 15 1-stars. That's not too bad. It's a little better than I managed. It's better than I managed in my Major General campaign. It's a little better than I managed in my last Legendary one. Though that was on an older version, so things have changed a bit since then. Okay, so build a new division commander. What have we got left? Oh, we do have some 1841s. Actually, those are much better than the Springfields. So the 2 best units will get those. We'll create some more infantry with the slightly better weapons. Actually, have I used everyone up? Yeah. Okay. These guys might be staying with the majors. I'll have to see what I end up with for officers, but we'll take a penalty, but it will be good enough. Actually, I'm going to go over here and do... Actually, no, I should keep doing these. I think I'm going to do 2 more infantry brigades, and then the rest of these I'm going to turn into skirmishers.
Yes, sir.
And these are all going to be max size. These make very good blocking and covering units. This is going, like, these stats are going to be terrible, but it doesn't really matter. These are very useful for throwing into melee and whatnot to save these more important units. And you don't have to worry about scaling up the AI with these. The AI has no skirmishers in this battle, so these don't affect scaling at all. Well, technically they do, but not in a way that matters. Like, the infantry size goes up based on your total army size, but you're not suddenly facing 1,000-man skirmisher units, which can be pretty annoying, so you can get away with this. So you're just going to move these over here. I think we're going to go ahead and give this guy his perk. So yeah, we want these 2 guys providing training. I think we're going to go with speed here again. It's going to help a lot. It's going to help the cavalry, and it's going to help a lot with these fresh units that their utility is most of their benefit, so being faster is going to do more than having a little bit more accuracy. They're going to be bad at firing no matter what you do. So I think, okay, we have 2 more of those. Debating if I go skirmisher or not with these. How many infantry units do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go with one more. Oh, where'd it go? Go with one more infantry unit. And then I think the rest are going to be skirmishers. Actually, I'm going to do this. Get rid of these, and we'll do some more artillery. The 10-pounder ordnance isn't good enough to... The 10-pounder ordnance isn't good enough to buy more of them at the moment, so I'm not going to use those. These aren't great, but you push them into canister range and they'll do well enough. Or, well, the giant units will come charging you, and then that'll be good enough.
Yes, sir.
Wait, we only have 6. Let's just split these into 7 then. Alright, so I think we're out of artillery. We could buy more, but I don't think there's a reason to. What have we got in terms of skirmisher weapons? Okay, so we still have another 2 units of those. 3 more units of these we can make. Oh, I guess there's some extra majors that I hadn't bought up. I'll figure that out later. I will probably largely skip the going through and fixing all the officers. You've seen me do it before. It's pretty straightforward. Go through, find the lowest level one you can. If you take a little bit of a penalty in this case, it's fine. If you take a larger penalty with these, don't worry about it. At least for this battle. But that'll probably take me a good 20 minutes, so no need to bore people with that. Okay, so that's pretty much all we have. Okay, actually,
Yes,
let's
sir.
go through and do our cavalry quick, because that's going to eat up some money. Wait, those are here. I want to start moving these towards 2 stars, so I'm just going to dump the money in. Okay, let's do some more cavalry. I'm going to make a larger dragoon unit. It's not going to be terribly effective, but there's a lot of good stuff you can do behind the lines, so having some extra cavalry is useful. You know what? Just go ahead and do that. Might as well use the guns we have. And then we've got some sawed-offs. Be careful with these. They let you dismount currently. They probably shouldn't. And they are really hard to use effectively given the length of the line and the comparative range of them. So I would not recommend using them dismounted, despite the fact you can currently. like I have more money than I should at this point. I don't know what else I would be buying, though. Could spend more money on cavalry. None of this is worth buying. Could equip a unit with better rifles, but I'm not sure if that's worth the while. Got a little bit left here. I'm not going to use those up. Oh, not going to use those. Too small. I really don't want to be under 250, really. Let's try this. We'll go 375. We'll buy a few more of those and do two 250s. And we'll do... Can't quite do 250 of each. I don't think we have anything else. Could go with another artillery unit, but we're already pretty high on those anyways. Really kind of need infantry, some sort of unit, infantry or skirmisher, to provide cover. Don't really want to buy more cavalry weapons. We have the money. Oh wait, did I forget to... Ah, that's why I have so much money. You don't need this much supply. You can go through with less, but if you go through with less, like, I will probably burn through all 100k of this by the end of the battle, and we're not going to have anything to restore on day 2. So it's got to last you the entire way. So while I could be spending this money on other stuff, I would honestly recommend probably get the supply as high as you can while putting as many units on the field as you can. In most cases, I don't think it's actually worth buying significant quantities of rifles to get out more men versus having enough supply to keep the ones you have firing consistently. Because in general, when you have ammunition and you're firing at normal speeds, you can blow even 3-star units out of cover. As soon as you run out of supply, you can't take their morale down fast enough, and it just turns into a grind of attrition, and you're probably going to lose that because their unit's 3 times the size of yours and does more damage. Alright, so we're just... Actually, I think I need a little bit more of this. I need to buy one more officer. I'm actually going to disband this unit after I buy the officer, just because it'll make transferring officers easier. But that is going to be the unit-wise at least, that is going to be what we're going to go into Shiloh with. Going to be a lot of organization to do. I will be back in a second to do with that. So I've gone through and reorganized everything. So on the right flank, we're going to get 9 units, and then those will get reinforced by these 4 units. The left flank is weird. You'll get the last unit in this division, you'll get 3rd division, and then you'll get the last unit in 4th division. And then you get... I think you get 7-1, 7-2, and then like 7-4, and maybe 7-5. I'm not exactly sure. I can work with any combination of whatever comes in here. I'm not too worried about it. If you hold the point for a while, I think these 3 units come in, or some combination of this division. If you hold the left flank without giving up a VP for a bit. I have never pulled off holding it long enough for the second set of reinforcements to come in, but I think that would be whatever's left in this core and maybe some of what's left in this. I know the AI gets reinforcements that way if you hold off holding the victory points. I'm not sure on my end. It's pretty hard to hold the victory points that long just because you run out of supply and you are horribly outnumbered and you're primarily defending with your worst core. If by some miracle it looks like I can pull it off, I will, but I will probably have to pull back eventually on the left flank because you can get to the point where you can get overrun, and usually it builds up at a point where you get overrun in the middle, and that's really bad. Anyways, so that's the basic setup. In terms of labeling, I've gone with a little bit different scheme. I'm still using the 1112, etc., so it's pretty easy to see which units are coming in where. I've updated all of the commanding officers' names, except for this one. Bannekraut doesn't really fit in with the rest of that there, so he only gets to show up if he shows up in the officers, as the general, I guess. And other than that, so my rifle designations are a little odd. Like, technically, this range damage multiplier isn't much different than a musket's. It's not all that much better. So I'm really using this more as a distinction of melee value, where the muskets have like an 80, 85, and the rifles have more in the 60 range, except for some exceptions, which I don't really have access to at the moment. So that's where these are coming in. The skirmishers get the grenadier designation. The sort of detached skirmishers, I just use light infantry for all those. Not really sure why I use musket here as opposed to grenadier. Doesn't really matter, I suppose. More or less tells me what I'm working with either way. And these are all... Decided to go with a light rifle designation for these versus a light grenadier. Okay, that is it for camp. We will be moving on to the battle, and we'll see how it goes.